I'm Dani Nedal. I am an assistant professor of international relations at the University of Toronto in political science and the Munk School of Global Affairs. Much of my work revolves around questions involving nuclear weapons. How do states think about using nuclear weapons? Why do states pursue nuclear weapons? I've worked on the history of Argentinian and Brazilian nuclear relations and Brazilian nuclear program, U.S. non-proliferation policy, trust between nuclear rivals, and a number of other issues. I just wrote a book about urban geography and how urban geography affects how countries think about the prospect for use of nuclear weapons, among a few other things. I cannot possibly tell you how I got interested. I think the earliest memory I have of getting really interested in questions of nuclear weapons was when I was an undergrad back in the mid-aughts. Um, and North Korea tested their first nuclear device, or what we think was their first test of a nuclear device, and thinking through what that meant for politics in Northeast Asia and for international relations at large when a country like North Korea can develop their own nuclear arsenal. And so that I'm very interested in terrorism and rogue states. And that I think set me off on the path of studying Asia and studying nuclear politics. Around the same time, I was reading Bernard Brodie on the absolute weapon and kind of tying together these questions that were being asked at the beginning of the nuclear age and what was happening in what now some people have called the dawn of the second nuclear age. I think fondly of my undergraduate classes and my undergraduate experience doing model UNs and games and simulations, and I've tried to emulate this as much as possible in classes large and small. I spend a good amount of my time thinking about activities that professors can use in the classroom to try to get students engaged and participating, especially in larger classes where often things get a little stale. I find that the resources that we have in the Highly Enriched website are great, and it's great to see this community of scholars who are really interested and invested in developing these resources. Right now, I'm teaching a class on global nuclear politics that I've taught a number of times before, and I'm trying out a few different activities and games, including a few of the ones that my colleagues have developed and put on the website. And I'm more and more interested in developing and making use of new AI tools, not just in writing and data analysis, but also in interactive simulation. So I'm starting to play around with those. The folks who care about this because of the variety of existential threats to humanity. Nuclear is probably the one that could end us as a society tomorrow. I think we need to worry about global pandemics, obviously, and other bio threats. We need to worry about climate catastrophes. We need to worry about asteroids and a number of other things that are very concerning. But nuclear weapons have been with us and will continue to be with us for the foreseeable future. We're seeing a resurgence of interest among policymakers in nuclear weapons. Most nuclear powers are currently engaged in either modernization or vertical proliferation efforts. Right? The age of arms control and disarmament, I think, has come to an end. We're seeing more and more nuclear saber rattling and incidents occurring between the US and China or in Pakistan and the US and Russia that raise a specter of nuclear escalation on a daily basis. I think the public should be informed and be aware and be properly scared and interested so that everybody can do their best to try to avoid the worst possible outcome. I think what concerns me is the fact that despite all these resurgent risks and this resurgent interest and investment, we don't see civil society being as active and organized and mobilized as we saw, say, in the 1980s. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that these weapons have been with us for so long that most people have taken them for granted. I think we see spikes in attention, for example, around the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022. We saw a huge spike in attention to the issue of nuclear weapons. And for the most part, activism on this issue has become very much a professionalized, specialized activity with folks like ICANN and other groups of activists. But the society at large has not taken up the mantle of dealing with this and forcing countries to meet their obligations in the NPT or to commit to making more progress towards disarmament and arms control and risk mitigation. So I think this is a dangerous trend that we should try to reverse, but that's very much the state of play today.